Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not being ghosted after the first date literally because I stuffed my date in a wood chipper, I'm here at the Wolfula reviewing movies. You know, Valentine's Day can be rough, especially if you always stuff your dates into wood chippers or freezers or what have you, but it's especially brutal if you're single, and in your case, I'm probably partially to blame for that. I mean, let's face it, watching horror movie reviews all day isn't exactly a panty dropper. Making horror movie reviews, on the other hand, well, let's just say my wood chipper is getting a lot of use, if you know what I mean. I kill people. Well, you don't have to spend Valentine's Day alone. I'll be your boyfriend, but only for the duration of this video. So let's spend our first and last date together by watching a movie. Well, technically, I'll watch the movie and tell you about it. It's kinda still how this thing works. The film I prepared is Valentine. A little on the nose? I don't give a shit. Valentine, released in 2001, was directed by urban legends director Jamie Blanks, is based on the novel of the same name by Tom Savage, savage as fuck, and stars Denise Richards and David Boreanaz. In case you didn't know for sure this film was released in 2001, let's get this date over with. Goulash, get the wood chipper warmed up. Valentine opens with a San Francisco middle school Valentine's Day dance. I don't know why a grade school is preoccupying itself with the love lives of tweens, but okay. It's here where we meet the dorky Jeremy Melton, who desperately asks girls for a dance but is turned down left and right.
I'd rather be boiled alive.
Perpetuating the toxic belief that romance validates one's self-worth, reinforced from a young age through public school functions made possible through taxpayer money. But aren't the pink balloons just cute, though?
Maybe later, Jeremy. Okay. Maybe later.
So anyway, this Dwight Schrute-looking motherfucker that'll probably have a personality disorder in the future asks for his last choice Dorothy's hand, and for whatever reason, this is romantic enough to lead directly to making out. When Jeremy and Dorothy are caught together by a group of boys who evidently weren't getting any action themselves, Dorothy throws Jeremy under the bus by accusing him of rape, and then the fellas strip the boy naked, beat the shit out of him in front of everyone. Jeremy gets expelled, sent to a reform school, and eventually spends time at a mental institute. Is that all? 13 years after that Terror Train-esque setup, every single gal that Jeremy Melton asked to dance is still living in the Bay Area and looking for some action leading up to Valentine's Day. We reconvene first with Shelley, a med student now who's on a shitty date with a guy who talks in the third person like the Seinfeld episode.
Jason looks for an attractive young woman because he wants healthy children. And a young woman, like yourself, looks for a successful man, like Jason, because she wants to feel safe.
Man, that was a great episode.
George is getting upset!
Oh, have mercy. Anyway, Shelley burns the candle at both ends, ending a dead date in style at the morgue. Shelley seems to be the main character, but in reality, she's a Janet Leigh archetype. The chick we meet and get to know first, who's actually the first victim, as she's targeted by the killer. The killer in this case is, a guy in a Cupid mask and a big black coat. Kind of a strange choice, but he's pretty much a Michael Myers, a slow-moving, knife-wielding silent guy wearing a themed mask and clothes that serve a utilitarian function. One distinctive feature of Cupid is that he has nosebleeds during his murders, like this is an anime or something. Anywho, Cupid finds Shelley hiding out in a body bag at the morgue and does his work, which is a decent Janet Leigh kill. I was actually surprised she died so soon, and her murder happening at a morgue is very convenient. It saves the coroner some fucking time. From here, all the gals from middle school reunite for Shelley's funeral, but they're still very close friends more than a decade later. So convenient for the plot.
How are you doing, Lily? Are you okay? I don't know. I can't believe she's gone.
All of the ladies have been receiving vaguely threatening correspondence from a stalker, which includes candy tampered with bugs, which would lead me to believe that they were sent by Shrek, but the cops assume that there must be some connection between Jeremy Melton and the murders happening.
Do you have any more recent pictures of him?
If we did, don't you think we'd be looking at them? The point is, this could be anyone.
Can't let murders get in the way of your love life, though, as all these bitches look for love in all the wrong places.
The last time you and I had dinner, we ended up in a hotel in Lake Tahoe for 3 days.
Oh, yeah, right. That.
You know, Valentine's plot is difficult to discuss properly. It honestly took me a while to figure out who the main character in this fucking film was supposed to be. The movie introduces us to multiple characters at once, all up to their own shit, and there isn't really much of an effort to clearly connect them to the child counterparts we very briefly meet at the beginning. Past the first murder, the first act of Valentine is a complete fucking mess without a strong narrative anchor holding the myriad subplots together. Eventually, though, it does become clear that the main character is Kate, played by Marley Shelton, who is on the rebound after her breakup with her alcoholic ex David Boreanaz, and despite her being the protagonist of this film, the movie still spends a lot of time with the other characters divorced from her main plotline. We especially spend a lot of time with Dorothy's subplot, involving her having a dude stay at her dad's house while the guy looks for investors in a startup company.
And of course the timing couldn't be worse because every penny I have is invested in this startup.
It's a whole to-do, and we even find out she has a younger stepmom who I thought was going to be more of a character after such an in-depth introduction, but she just fucking disappears after the first scene.
When you're old enough to rent a car by yourself, we can discuss your role as my stepmother. In the meantime, don't talk about my sex life.
I don't know why any of this other shit is important. Okay, I do know why. This is meant to be a mystery film. We're in suspense about who the killer could be, and the film has to set up some red herrings to keep us guessing, but it just feels like unnecessary clutter instead of shit that could actually build up some genuine intrigue.
Don't worry about it.
This is the running theme of Valentine, besides Valentine's Day, of course. It's a horror film with a shitload of distractions from the horror. Watching the film, I sometimes forgot it was a horror movie at all. A lot of the time it feels like a rom-com with observational humor about relationships and dating.
The Bible. The Bible is the foundation of morality and marriage.
I mean, it is appropriate for a Valentine's Day themed horror flick to delve into romance, but there's just too much of it, I think. And we explore the love lives of all of these characters, who are all single or in complicated relationships with the common shared goal of getting dick. It doesn't help either that, honestly, these bitches are difficult to distinguish from each other. They're all a bunch of blonde bimbo Karens. The only standout is the bitchy brunette, and that's just because she has a fucking rotten attitude.
Who's Jeremy Melton?
This loser from 6th grade.
I don't care about the love lives of these shallow characters. They're set up at first as shitty kids. Why do I care about their romantic entanglements when I don't like any of them?
I play a lot of ocean sports, you know, kayak.
Goodbye, Lance.
Better luck next time, Lance.
I think Valentine would have worked better as more of a satire of these vain, rich socialites who seek relationships for shallow reasons, but instead it seems like we're meant to relate to these characters' relationship woes. But when this shit isn't boring, it's irritating.
Watch your back, leech.
It makes you just want to see all these characters die. And see them die you do. Eventually. The Cupid killer dude pops in every now and then throughout the runtime to kill some random chick or punk to remind us that this is a slasher flick, and I gotta say, what's there kill-wise is pretty good. The standout being at a weird art installation, Cupid rightfully using a bow and arrow to dispatch a chick, slinging arrows at her repeatedly until she's launched into a dumpster. Yeah, there are some neat kills, but for most of the movie, the horror just feels only loosely connected to the main plot of Kate's relationship troubles with David Boreanaz. Kate never directly encounters the Cupid guy until the very end of the movie. Imagine in the original Scream, Sidney never encountering Ghostface until the end. There'd be no tension to that shit, no sense that she herself is the prime target of these killings. Consequently, a lot of the kills leading up to the final act feel mostly inconsequential to the plot, just sort of thrown in to have something fucking happen in the movie. So in the last act, nearly all the main characters get killed off one after the other in a brief period of time, instead of having these key deaths spaced out more. Again, this was probably intentional to keep the identity of the killer ambiguous until the end. The more major characters die, the easier the identity becomes to guess. So you gotta kill off the weird, creepy neighbor that raids Kate's panty drawer, a character you can easily just cut out of the movie otherwise and not miss. Valentine isn't a scary movie at all. It's just too goddamn concerned with the uninteresting minutiae of early 2000s affluent San Francisco relationships. There's just no real suspense being built up through the haze of all this bullshit. You just suddenly see the killer again at certain points, and he does his thing, and sometimes he does it in a cool way, which I guess is all you can really ask for. Spoiler alert, I'll be discussing briefly the final act and end of Valentine. If you don't want it spoiled, skip to the time code, lover. The The final act of Valentine takes place exclusively at a party held at Dorothy's gigantic mansion. It's basically the finale of Scream, an excuse to have all the characters in one location conveniently to wrap up the story. The murders at this point still occur at isolated areas, so not a whole lot else notable happens with the party itself, besides a dude showing a chick his dick, but that's expected at any party, unfortunately.
You brought me up here to show me your penis.
So let's skip over that shit. The party winds down, and of course, the only characters sticking around are the main characters, and I do gotta point out that the brunette's kill is suitably savage as fuck. As she's drowned in a hot tub, drilled into, and eventually Cupid just says fuck it and tosses the drill into the tub, electrocuting her. Oh shit, you know he means business when he's willing to not return that drill for a refund at Home Depot after this killing spree. So you're probably wondering what the big reveal of the film is.
Hi.
David Boreanaz is the killer, Jeremy Milton, I guess, and chases Kate around a bit in a drunken haze. Or is he the killer? Seems as though that isn't the case after all, as Kate gets bum-rushed by Cupid, and after stumbling down the stairs, David Boreanaz shoots the guy I'm going to assume 6 times. With this final act, Kate is willing to overlook David Boreanaz's incredibly erratic behavior up to this point, because nothing is a faster panty dropper than watching a guy fire hot lead into a person's body right in front of you.
No, don't look at it!
David Boreanaz unmasks the killer, who is revealed to be Mr. Wickles, the museum curator? No, not really. It's Dorothy, the bitch that Jeremy Milton made out with as a kid. Very little rationale is given for her killing, so you know it totally was her as the killer. Not really, though, as David Boreanaz is shown with a nosebleed while embracing Kate. I mean, going by anime logic, this isn't that incriminating. It just means he's turned on. In summary, Valentine isn't a bad movie. It's just not very good overall. It's too unfocused, jumping from brief horror to a myriad of rom-com scenes that just aren't all that appealing to sit through, truth be told. There are some cool kills in the mix, the killer himself is pretty neat, and when the film wants to get suspenseful, things can get decently tense. Still, this film feels like a conventional slasher movie cosplaying as a generic rom-com, honestly. I'd recommend watching the original My Bloody Valentine or even the remake before viewing Valentine. Those flicks have better, more focused mysteries, better kills, and an easier to follow love triangle romance plot. I give Valentine a Tinder out of farmersonly.com. So, this is the end of the date. This is me. Would you care to have some coffee? I know this might sound weird and a little forward, but it's not drugged. We can drink it next to my wood chipper. I think it really classes up a place and adds to its ambiance. Want a closer look at it? Well, go on. Don't be shy. Let's make the night complete, baby. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, subscribe for more and click the bell icon to find out when my latest vids and streams go live. Want a double dose of Dr. Wolfula? Donate to my Patreon and you'll get bonus content for supporting the channel, including exclusive movie streams and commentaries weekly. Be sure to also give me a visit in the free Popbase app to hang out in a virtual Wolfula complete with horror quizzes and bonus vids. Link in the description to download for iOS and Android. I'd like to give a special thanks to my true Wolfulite supporters on Patreon and my channel memberships for their pledges. Their support helps keep the channel going after all these years. Thank you, guys. Alrighty, Dr. Wolfula signing out. See you all next time.